Hello and welcome to another End User Talk podcast. I'm your hostess, Jameelah, your Lady in Tech. Well, hello, and I want to welcome Miss Angela to the End User Talk podcast. Miss Angela, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today with me and have a discussion. How are you doing?
You're welcome, and hi, I'm actually doing very well. Thank you very much for asking. Yeah.
Well, this has been a long-awaited, anticipated moment, and it's finally here.
Yes.
And I'm excited. So, without further ado, will you please introduce yourself?
Yes, well, my name is Angela Stewart. I'm from London, and I am an Afro Hair Coach. I'm also a makeup artist, but the Afro Hair Coach developed kind of alongside, and it was there, but I didn't actually know it was there. So now I say I'm an Afro Hair Coach, and I lead with that.
Afro Hair Coach, is that something that you coined for yourself, or is this a specific field?
Well, actually, it is a thing. There are Afro Hair Coaches in the world, and in London specifically. When I was trying to figure out what I was going to be a coach of, like how I was going to name myself. What is the word? Not name, when you market yourself, right? Brand. Oh, I don't like that word, but there you go. How I was going to brand myself. I thought, okay, it's a coach. Yes, definitely. And I want to help other people with their Afro hair, their natural hair. So I did a search. I did a Google search to see if there was anyone else like me. And I found quite a few, not many, maybe about 5 specifically. I guess if I looked deeper, I would have found some, but they were there as an Afro Hair Coach. So I thought, okay, well, that's what I am. I'm an Afro Hair Coach. And I do things slightly differently to everybody else. We've all got the same base issue, which is to help other people learn how to care for their natural hair. But I think that's probably where I differ from them.
All right. As an Afro Hair Coach, do you offer your services, your technique to male, female, or is it age specific, or is it open to anyone?
It's actually open to anyone. As a makeup artist, I've been a makeup artist for something like 20 years now. And how can I put this delicately? When I was training, to have someone with black skin or Afro hair to work on was like looking for a diamond in a mud field. It was just rare, you know, that you couldn't find. I mean, I was training as a makeup artist. Most of the other makeup artists wanted to work on me, which meant, of course, I couldn't practice because they wanted my skin and my face so that they could say, okay, I'm working on a dark-skinned person here. And the same goes for hair. When I was training for hair, nobody really knew how to handle Afro hair. You know, why did water make it shrink? What stopped it from shrinking? If you see like someone sitting in front of you with a mass of curls, how is it? How do you handle it? Is it soft? Is it hard? Nobody knew. Well, apart from me, of course. So as a makeup artist, I realized that there was a huge gap for my fellow makeup artists, especially those who were white or of other nationalities who didn't have the opportunity of working with someone with Afro hair. And then also, I know, Irene, I'm probably detouring a little bit here, but I guess this is the way my mind works. Also, as a hairstylist and having worked a little bit in Afro hair studios, or not studios, sorry, salons, especially the ones who try to do everything. So they do Afro hair as well as European hair. They treat Afro hair appallingly, and it kind of like, it makes my heart squeeze. I am so unhappy about it. I'm so unhappy about it that I think the last time I worked with them was last year. And I just thought after that, I can't. It's like everybody needs to be educated about Afro hair. So who's my target audience? My target audience is young people, because they are surrounded by imagery that will alienate them from their hair. And if they were like me, Afro-Caribbean in ethnicity, but born in London, and my mother didn't really know about Afro hair, and all those around me didn't know about Afro hair. And of course, the ideal is to have your hair relaxed so it is manageable. You can't see me, but I'm doing the quotations in the air. Manageable, which just impresses, brainwashes actually everybody that there is something wrong with their curly hair. So I have a group on Facebook, and so far I have white people, black people, Spanish people, makeup artists, hairstylists and hairdressers, and actual hair salons. People have been joining in their groups, if you know what I mean, from their page. And I have no idea how they're going to take the information that I'm going to say, but I just think that what we have been taught, trained and educated about Afro hair is pretty much a lie. And has some of it comes from ignorance, not the bad kind, just, not knowing. And the other part of it, I'm afraid, comes from us being disconnected from our actual ancestry. And I am talking about slavery. I am going to go there so early in the conversation. Sorry. But yeah, we were taken, that information was taken away from us. In fact, what I know probably doesn't come or have any resemblance to anything that probably comes from Africa. I have no idea. I was born in London, but I know what works for me, and that's what I want to share to everybody else. That was a really long answer. Sorry.
No, what you're saying is very important. There is a root. There's a basis and a foundation. And what's interesting is that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. There is a universal experience that will say individuals with textured, or what is considered textured hair, or Afro hair. We all have a universal experience. I was born in Texas. So I know now, never being in London, that you also have experienced challenges with your hair. And as you mentioned before, your mother, she experienced challenges. So that is the one universal experience that we all have. Now, entangled with that universal experience, how do we change the perception? How do we get the proper education to more of us so that, one, we are not ashamed of our hair. We don't do things to damage the hair in order for us to follow what's acceptable or the status quo. How are you helping, or what do you do in order to help individuals? And these are people from all ages, mind you.
So many young people, especially from Africa, believe it or not, South Africa, like schoolgirls, it seems, and schoolboys, requesting to join the group. At first, I'd actually put an age limit on there, 18, I thought, because I had started it as a marketing tool. I wanted work as an Afro Hair Coach. And so I thought, well, I can't, be canvassing school children. And I felt a way about having them in the group, because I knew that the end result for me having people in the group was specifically to effectively sell my services. And then I was getting so many of them that I thought, well, no, I had to revert back to my original thought, which is this is information for everybody. If they specifically want to hire me one-on-one after then that's fine. But the group has to be for everybody. It has to be for everyone. The youngsters, literally, they are the ones who, in a way, it's kind of easier for them because they don't have years of self regulation. That's the right word. Self propaganda. When you tell yourself that you don't look good, right, if you go out with your hair. If it's my mother used to say picky, if it's uncombed. If she saw my hair now, she'll probably say that my hair is picky or uncombed or untidy or whatever. So they have it easier because they are more able to adapt, whereas us older people literally have to unlearn everything, and we have to change our mindset and re-fall in love with our inner selves to know that we are enough. However our hair is, our hair is absolutely amazing. You put two, again, I'm using quotation signs here. You put two people with so-called 4C hair side by side and you will not see the same pattern. How amazing is that? And we just have to fall in love with our hair again, get used to seeing our hair. And that's how we change the perception. And I guess it's a little bit of shock treatment as well for me to say, okay, you realize this is linked to slavery, guys, right? You don't like your actual self, but it's not so much that you don't like yourself. You don't know that you don't like yourself, sort of thing. So I'm sure I'm going to get, quite a few people who are going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
I believe you're going to get a lot of people to co-sign because all of that has to do with, again, perception, how we are viewed and how we view ourselves. Now, mind you, most of us probably grew up not seeing many African American, or Black males and females on TV, in ads, or even promoting Black hair or Black hair, natural hair care and or products. So we didn't get to see these styles. So we didn't get to embrace the differences and the different ranges and the different styles and the way our hair can be manipulated. So we've grown up looking at Caucasian influences and references. And so what we've done is we've tried to conform to the straight hair, something that appeared to be that could be tamed or controlled.
Yes.
And that's not how our hair is naturally. It can be, but it doesn't look that way.
You raise a really good point there. The other day I was thinking to myself, all these different hairstyles, and people in the group are saying, okay, I need hairstyles. Hairstyles is a hairstyle. It's not you, it's not your hair. It's how you choose to manipulate your hair. But that doesn't mean that you either win or fail because you don't have hairstyles for your natural hair. Your natural hair is full on curly, and that's all it is. And I have actually developed a way of not using a comb, period. My hair is, I would describe it as 4C. In other words, the curliest type of curly, zigzaggy, coily hair you can get. I haven't used a comb as in to comb, again, inverted commas, my hair for months. I don't recall now. Maybe we're in August, so maybe about 10 months. And I wash my hair or wet my hair thoroughly daily using my fingers. And I have absolutely no knots. I've reduced the amount of shedding. I don't have any breakages. My hair is fantastic. And on top of that, I can still part it with a comb while it's dry and it's not tangled. Now, this blows some people away. They don't understand. Well, why isn't your hair tangled? Or actually, if you comb your hair, you're diffusing your curls. Therefore, it becomes tangled. And it's like everything that we've been taught, trained and educated to control it, i.e. combing your hair, actually does the opposite. And you end up being more frustrated and pulling your hair out at the root. And oh my God, I'm getting really worked up here. When I realized how upside down the information is that we're given and how hard we fight to keep hold of that information, because this is all we know. And so people they just can't fathom doing something that the whole society says is wrong. So yeah,
it is something. Now, I have 3 daughters of my own, and I have to say that I also have several female cousins that I grew up with. All of our hair texture was different. Now, I have to say that I was lucky in that my mother was a hairdresser.
Uh-huh.
She knew hair. Now, mind you, She was trained on Caucasian hair or hair that was not black. That's primarily what she worked with. Clearly, because that's generally where most of us went, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In hair care. But she knew how to manage my hair and my sister's hair. Both of our hair textures are completely different. Different. But she knew what to do and what products to use and how to care for it. So our hair was groomed. It was well groomed. It was tamed, but we wore it natural majority of the time. Now, fast forward to me getting to the point of learning how to manage my own hair, which I'm going to tell you right now, I hate it.
Oh,
I hated my hair because I hated the texture. It didn't do. It wasn't straight. And I guess I don't know what my my texture type is. I don't know if I think I am on the 4C scale. But as you know, as you grow older, textures can change. Either way, I had cousins, and one of my cousins, she had this beautiful water waved hair, or what we would call water wave. Beautiful hair. I wanted her hair. I wanted when my hair got wet that it just waved and it looked silky and it was long. That's what I wanted. Jameelah, you don't have that. So for a very long time, I went through the stage that most young teenage girls go through. I had the curls. Jerry curl is what they call it.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. I had that one too.
Went through the Jerry curl stage. My grandmother would press our hair, and clearly with the hot comb and the press, growing up in Texas, it gets really hot. So the minute you got it pressed, if it was too hot, you'd sweat it out. So
yeah, of course,
you'd have to stay in. When pressing got too much, then I went to the chemical perm. That did the worst damage to my hair, because if you don't care for a perm properly, you will damage your hair.
Yes, indeed.
So I went through so many different transitions and still was unable to appreciate my texture, and at the same time be able to find the appropriate products that would help manage, maintain, and care for my hair. So I say this to say that how does one, what do you do? What is your technique in helping your clients to, one, identify their hair type? And then from there, what is the regimen that you take with them?
Okay. First of all, I only use the hair type as a way of creating a visual image for people. I think it's unnecessary, this hair type. It creates a new type of rivalry. And it can also create a new type of self-loathing. Oh, damn, I've got 4C hair. Oh, it's not at all what I was expecting. You know, all the negative talk that you're just going to take in and have to undo again later on at some other point. So first of all, I try to avoid talking about hair type. It's only important to know. In fact, it's not important at all. It really isn't important. Either your hair is curlier or it's wavier, one or the other. I also have someone in my group who also talks about hair porosity, and I don't really bother with that either, because either your hair reacts to something or it doesn't. So, and I don't use a lot of store-bought products. It's very simply, when I have a client and they want to talk about, okay, well, how do I detangle my hair, or unravel, as I say? How do I unravel my hair? I say, okay, first thing you should do is have never do it on completely dry hair. Have a little spray bottle of water and add a couple of drops of your favorite oil to it. It could be, for example, rosemary oil, essences, rosemary oil, jojoba. What's the other one I like? Lemongrass, which I was actually told once also helps to stimulate hair growth. So that's definitely my favorite one now. And you have this little spray bottle of water, and you section a small amount of your hair, and you spray the water on that section only. And then very gently, using your fingers in a raking motion, you pull your curls apart. And that's all you need to do. I actually suggest to all of my clients that they do this in the shower, preferably. So yes, you've got the water running over your head. And depending on whether you have long hair or shorter hair, you part the hair, put it in I'm going to assume that one has a lot of hair. You separate a section at the base of the neck. You get a hairband or a clip, and you take the rest of the hair away. So you put it on the top of your head, and you let the water run down your neck or your back, and you very gently with your fingers, you're taking that raking motion from the scalp all the way down to the ends. And wherever your hair feels as though your fingers get stopped, you then very gently with your other hand pull out the curls underneath. We don't have tangles in our hair. We just have curls that have gotten locked together. So if you do this in the water, in the shower, then you actually have a chance to run your fingers all the way through your hair. Obviously, with longer hair, it's going to take a little bit longer. But again, only for maybe the first month or so, not even that long, I would say. The first 2 weeks, because your hair has to get used to the motion of always being pulled in that direction. Your hair will be completely detangled. My hair is completely detangled. I can wash my hair, totally soak my hair. Every morning I do this in 20 seconds. That would be great. 20 minutes from completely wet to coated with oil in the same raking motion with my fingers. I have a video which I need to put up on my YouTube channel so everyone can actually see, because it's a little bit hard to visualize it sometimes. But it's just you're not using your fingernails, you're just using your fingertips. And I do a raking motion from my forehead basically to the nape of my neck. And because I've been doing this method now for just under a year, my hair is not tangled. It falls almost instantly into its own individual tiny curls. And then after that, depending on what product I want to use, and I don't really use store-bought products, so I'd either make a hair gel from aloe vera, or I would make it from flaxseed, and then I can have the curls very stand out and defined. But generally speaking, I just rake my fingers through with olive oil and my favorite essential oil, and then I leave it. I let it dry, and the curls are all defined. And let me just give you a visualization of how it looks. Do you know those little sponges that the guys use, and they sort of like do their hair in a rotation motion?
Yes.
My hair looks like that, except it doesn't look as though it's been clumped together. And that's what my hair looks like. So, people have been coming up to me and asking, one, is it my natural hair? And two, oh, great. How did you do that? Did you use a sponge? I'm sure a sponge would tangle my hair, honestly. So I wouldn't do that. And again, marketing, this is another product that gets me going. I mean, if your hair is short and you like the style, I'm not saying not to. But my beef comes when it's put out there as a tool to help us with stuff that we already have. Do you know what I mean?
So basically, it's really what you alluded to in the beginning of the conversation. We're retraining. We are having to go back and dispel all of the untruths about how to care specifically for our type of hair texture.
Yeah.
It definitely is going to be a new lesson learned, if you will. And interestingly enough, not only to add to the fact that we are differentiating between hair type or texture versus hairstyles. We need to understand them in their own lane, and they are separate of each other. Yeah. Hair type and hairstyle do not mean the same thing.
No, they don't. Absolutely not. Hairstyle is merely how you choose to wear your hair. I saw there was some petition going around on change.org a couple of months ago, where somebody was saying how their child had been excluded from school because they wanted to wear their hair out. And I don't know if the image that was posted with it was the same as the child who they were referring to, but this child must have had hair to mid-back and appeared to be mixed race to me. And so they had big, beautiful, fluffy hair. That is a choice of hairstyle, to wear your hair out, but you're going to school. Why would you do that? It seems to me to be unnecessarily antagonistic.
Right.
It's like saying, okay, I work in a bakery, but my hair is naturally afro. I choose to wear it out. Well, actually, that's the wrong style for the end result. Do you understand what I mean? It's like, I'm going to work with food, therefore my hair needs to be covered. I'm going to school to learn, therefore, and mind you, I was upset with how the teacher dealt with it according to the post. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it has in any shape or form anything to do with the parent or the child or how they chose to do that. The teacher could have handled it in a different way. And that's what they should have done. They need to be more understanding of the culture, quite frankly, and be able to diffuse it without making it be more of a situation. But if my child is going to school, their hair needs to be tidy in as much that it's not interfering with them or anyone else's learning. So it gets plaited down, either in cane row, in braids or whatever funky thing. In fact, if you ever ask Pixie Pugh and Storm how I sent them to hair, how I sent them to school with their hair, being a lifelong lover of braids and plaits, and this was even before I was a makeup artist, actually, I would I'll put their hair in very, very colorful extensions. I'm talking like all the colors of the rainbow in their hair. I'm sure we've got a picture somewhere. I'll get Pixie Pugh to send it to you. It actually got them in trouble in secondary school, or at least Storm, because I sent her to school in her favorite color, blue. And the head teacher said, well, that's fashionable. You can't wear that in school. And I must admit, it kind of floored me for a moment there. I really didn't know how to respond, but my daughter knew exactly how to respond. And she said, well, actually, braids are in our culture. And the head teacher listened to her, and then she was probably impressed with the way my daughter handled it and decided that it was okay. The color was not important. The fact was that the hair was in braids.
This conversation that we're having, to me, it's there's so much noise. And when I say noise, there's so many pieces to this. There's so many pieces to it that we would be talking for hours to try to address every roadblock that we go through.
Yeah.
And it's all because of hair.
I know.
Why does our hair, our skin complexion, our tone, the skin tone, the variations, why does it cause so much of a cataclysmic? Why is it such a Pandora's box?
That's a really good question.
I mean, the way I survived, I struggled as a child with the texture of my hair. I've already explained that to you. And so have many other, I don't want to just say black women, but, we'll just say the black race in general. We struggle with so many things. We have so many boundaries. We have to fit so, just right in so many spaces. It's like doing a puzzle. And you're given all of these puzzle pieces, and you have to try to fit these puzzle pieces just so that it's acceptable, or you get the outcome that was intended, or expected, I guess. It makes life so hard to live.
And it's so unnecessary, isn't it?
It's unnecessary. Why can't we just be? Why can't I just be?
I was just going to say that's where it starts to get political. That's where it starts to get political.
It shouldn't. We are human beings. The way, with my 3 girls, the way I managed their hair, because all of them had different hair textures, there was different lengths. My girls had long, beautiful, thick hair, all different textures. I learned how to care for my daughter's hair because of the things that I went through that I didn't want them to have to experience. I learned. So when you look at my daughter's pictures when they were infants, up until they started taking care of their own hair, my daughter's hair was always what we call tame, presentable.
Yeah.
It was always healthy. I made a bad mistake with my oldest daughter. I put a chemical on her hair because I wanted her to go to first grade and be a big girl and look, I didn't want her to, I made the same mistake with her and it damaged her hair. But because I knew how to braiding saved my life. And it also helped my daughter's hair be healthy the way it should have been. I'm so sorry. I'm going off on a rant.
Well, no, it's important to be said because these are all the experiences that other people don't hear. And they think that, first of all, they feel badly, or they try not to feel badly, I guess, for forcing their daughters into having their hair relaxed. And they don't realize that it is still their own learning journey that they're doing there. It's what they realize and what they do after that counts, not the fact that they did that once.
And everything is so equated with beauty, intelligence, perception, how you're perceived. If our little black girls and our little black young boys walk into a space, they're immediately judged by all of these superficial existences or things. It's their color. It's the way they wear their hair. How it's styled, the texture. And I'm frustrated with it, and it's overwhelming because we can't change what we have naturally.
No. But you know what we can change? How we ourselves view it. Because we are reacting to the outside world's perception. They perceive I am one way or the other because I walk into a room with my hair completely natural. I get that, and I understand that that's their problem, not mine. And that's the strength, the self-esteem, the confidence that we need to give our youngsters to know that however they choose to wear their hair, providing they feel great inside about themselves, it doesn't matter. So what I learned from myself growing up is that when my insecurities, kind of coming from my hair. I wouldn't say it was solely from my hair, but that's how it manifested. I tried to control my hair. My hair wouldn't play ball, so I used to take that back into myself. There was something wrong with me. Mom said my hair was difficult. Okay, then that means I'm difficult. And somehow I started to personify the descriptions other people put on my hair. Suddenly it was me. So it took many years. One thing I knew was I was always quite a happy, bubbly person. And as I matured, I guess, and came into my life as it is now, I realized that I've always enjoyed my hair. I've always enjoyed doing different things, different styles with my hair. And more than that, I've always enjoyed my hair being natural. And the last vestiges of chains, I'm going to use that analogy, fell away when I realized, when I tried to explain to somebody else how I was always able to get such a great result with my hair. And when I was doing somebody else's hair, they would fall asleep. And we're talking braids. You know how braids usually are done. It's so tight that it's like you've got a facelift. They would actually say that they can't tell that my hand's in their hair. And it's only when I tried to describe to someone else how I was doing that I realized we have the curly hair that we say we want. It's just a case of how to manipulate, if you want, for want of a better word, how to manipulate it while it's wet in order to get that and maintain it. And then I realized, okay, so actually I'm a great person. Not being big-headed or anything, but just saying I am everything. I'm everything I need. My hair is perfect. There's very little I need to do with it unless I want to change the style. I am a happy person. And you know what? My hair is kind of like the same like me. Not necessarily controlled, inverted commas, but it does behave. It's happy. It makes me happy. Therefore, I am happy. And as I walk into a room, that is mainly what people see. They don't see my hair. They see me. And even if they don't see me and they see my hair, I don't care in a nice way, but I don't care. It's not going to affect me. And that's what I want to pass on to everybody else. You know, your hair is your superpower. It's your crown. It's the thing that you don't take off. Therefore, wear it with pride.
it's your crown. That is the root of self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're going to have to redefine. We're going to have to rediscover, and we're really going to have to work very diligently in order to maintain who it is we are.
Yeah.
This is why, Miss Angela, I'm thankful to you for participating and sharing. The reason why is because I would love for this to just be about hair. But as you see, it's a little bit more, there's more to it. There's some more depth involved in that. I'd love to just say, all we need to do is talk about the hair, but there's some soul that's involved in this as well.
Exactly. And this is what makes me a little different from the other hair coaches. They are teaching people techniques, which is good and useful. But to my mind, they are attaching the need for products to that. And that's where I would draw the line. I'm saying, well, actually, you're enough. How did they do it in Africa? They didn't have, a product that you could go and buy from the shelf. They may have had someone else do it for them. But other than that, we have everything in nature. It's already there. There's nothing for us to do apart from use it. So, and so I've wondered, if this is the case, what is stopping people from being able to wear their hair natural, however it is they choose to wear it? It's the confidence. They don't have the confidence. Why is that? Because they think about what other people are thinking about their hair. Okay, so why is that? So it's like there was always another stage to my questioning. And so I thought, right, people need an Afro Hair Coach. I'm more than happy. So going back a little bit to my Facebook group, like I said, it was originally meant to be how I launched myself as a coach to get clients. But then I realized this is the information that everybody needs. They need to know the basics on what they have, their specific questions. How do I deal with my dandruff? How do I detangle hair? My hair is thinning. My da 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 da. It's the general informational things that they either haven't come across yet, or they haven't gotten. If it's not personal experience, they're not like me and you. We're not surrounded by people with our hair type and with the knowledge and experience who can say, okay, you just need to do this or you just need to do that. So I decided, well, that's what I'm going to do with my Facebook group. However, I am aware that there are all these underlying things that attack our self-esteem, that undermine our confidence. And there are some of us out there who are waking up to that. It's not just a case of, okay, this is how I wash my hair and this is the products I use and now it's manageable. It's okay, well, why do I need it to be manageable? And that gives you the added strength, for want of a better word, that enables you to, one, give yourself and your hair the time it needs to change the style. If you wanted to plait it or braid it or individually plait it or whatever, you no longer complain about how long it takes you to do because you know you're worth it. So it's like they go hand in hand. You have to know how you feel about yourself in order to get the best out of your hair. So I guess that's the simplest way I could describe it.
I guess it's the main thing is what we all as a people, is we have to kind of get out of this mindset of comparison.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot compare what we have ourselves to what we may witness or see someone else with. We don't, everything, there was a saying, what's good for the gander is not always good for the goose.
Yeah, I know that one.
We have to see ourselves as individuals.
Oh, yes.
We are our own journey, our own product project to execute.
Yes.
And if you work a project, we may have a plan for that project, but we know with all or any project or even a simple plan, there are going to be we're going to get some delays. We're going to run into some hiccups. We're going to have to even start all over again.
Yeah.
We're going to have to scratch. So we have to really just kind of do some soul searching within ourselves and find out how to help me help me. What do
Wonderful.
I need? And I think that's why this conversation is important, although I intended it for us to just address embracing our natural hair, learning how to care for it, learning how to take pride in what we have been blessed with naturally. There's so much more. And as you stated, slavery has taken a lot. People think slavery did take our identity, but slavery took so much more. And it's just as, what people might consider superficial as how we look and how we perceive ourselves. There's so much more depth to that.
Agreed. I have a slightly sidestep view of slavery as well. It's not a case of saying, still saying that it's, how some people like to keep it alive. Oh, slavery, you did this to us. It's not that sort of hanging on to the past. It's the acknowledgement or the realization for me that it's the mindset, the damage that it did psychologically to us as a people is what we are actually perpetuating. The only reason, to my mind, this is my opinion, the only reason why slavery was so successful was because they attacked us psychologically. They took away the physical things that gave us our pride and our confidence. They then had us looking at each other, this competition. Okay, well, your skin is darker than mine, therefore I'm better than you. My hair is not as tightly curled as yours, therefore I'm better than you. Or, you want to look like me. All of that sort of in-house racism, I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's the correct term or not, but that stuff is what is still infecting our minds. And that's why to be aware of racism in the first place is important, but it's to understand how it's still affecting us and how we are the ones actually perpetuating that. That's the only reason why we want to control our hair, or why we want to straighten it, or why we want to have looser curls, or why we feel it needs to be tamed. We are who we are. And once we get our pride, I don't know if pride is the right word. Once we are able to stand up again and just say, okay, yeah, I'm black. I mean, if because of the way the world works, I have to say my ethnicity. So my parents came from the Caribbean, therefore I guess I am Afro-Caribbean, but otherwise I am black. And I have curly hair. I have very curly hair. It's turned as Afro so that you can determine my lineage, I suppose. But other than that, it doesn't mean anything. I am an individual. I am a person. And that's what we need to get people back to thinking. And I just feel as though knowing where you're coming from helps you along your journey. You can get to see what you need to just shed because you now know why you're doing the things you're doing.
Acknowledging your unique identity and that your value as a person.
Yeah.
No one...
I mean,
we're all different.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking, obviously this is from my perspective, and as I said, Afro-Caribbean. So it's been many years for me to wonder why I did the things I did and why I thought the things I thought, and then why my fellow black person thinks that way around. But that's, again, from my unique perspective. And so that's not to alienate anyone to say, okay, you may not have, I don't know. I mean, I met a lady from Israel a couple of years back, and her hair was full on curly. She had most beautiful afro. White, but she had afro hair, and she had learnt to not use a comb and just, wash it with the fingers as I was describing to you. So we were like describing how we're doing our hair, and I was just marveling that this girl was doing it exactly the same way. In a way, it doesn't matter maybe for everybody else, you don't have to have that link, but you have to understand at the very least that what you see around you doesn't determine who you are. So, don't look at the poster that shows the person with the absolutely perfect curls and think that there is something inferior in yourself because your curls don't do the same thing. Just learn how to handle, which is the point of my group, how to care for curly hair. It doesn't matter whether it's curly, wavy, or whatever. Just don't use the comb. Start from there. Don't use a brush. Start from there. And then it's like, how I would say, it's like if you're learning how to draw, there are some people who have natural artistic talents, but if you learn how to draw, which is my background, I guess, the official way, then you can break the rules because you know the outcome you're going to get. Does that make any sense? I wonder if I'm going off on a weird tangent.
No, it makes all the sense in the world. And no, you are welcome to go off on a tangent because we need it.
So yeah, there you go. I just think everyone who has afro and curly hair, start by not using an afro comb, not using a standard comb. Certainly don't use a standard comb, even a wide tooth comb. Yeah, I understand why you think it's good, but why do you think that? Oh, could it be because of something you heard or something you saw, and yet you're still not getting the curls that you want to see? Okay, so start from the very beginning. Just use your fingers. Get to know your hair, get to know the feel, get to see what it does when it gets wet. And you know what? You're actually giving yourself a head massage at the same time. And it is the most relaxing thing in the world, I've got to say. It's really, really, really cool. So start from the basics. Just put simple things in your hair. Don't worry about hair products right now. Just start with an oil. That's all your hair needs. A little bit of a way to seal in the moisture into the hair so it doesn't get dry or get brittle. You're also at the same time massaging your scalp, giving it a light oil so it's not going to be suffocated or it's not going to have to deal with some chemicals that it's not used to dealing with, i.e. the result of which is usually dandruff. So yeah, start there and then decide what you want to do with your hair. That's all I think.
What I'd like to address at this point, we also have the mixed race individuals. I keep in mind I have several family members who are mixed race, and they are either half black and white or half black and Hispanic, or we just got a pretty good mixture of mixes. Now, 90% of the time, the mother is the one who is responsible for the hair care of the child. And in these interracial or biracial relationships, generally the mother is a non-black. So she's not familiar. How do we help educate that mother with her child, her mixed race child's hair, grooming and helping them, help that child being able to, have some pride and feel good about their hair as well. And then also educate the mother on hair care for their children.
Yeah. That is it's actually easier than you'd think. But it relates more to time than to, someone not knowing, because my mother was very time poor. I was one of 8 children. And at the time that I was around, I was the last one. So I was one of 7 at that point. And she only had the 2 girls, but her hands were full. She was busy. And her mother was of Hispanic origin from Panama. So she had no idea about Afro hair. So my grandmother had straightish Indianish type hair. My mother had very Afro curly hair, not as curly as mine. So she had no time, which was her main issue, to help me to get to know mine. So when it came to wash days or hair combing days, which was basically one day a week, she would do the, when you lather the hair and you're scrubbing the scalp, which of course is tangling the hair, and then you're going to dry it thoroughly, which of course is going to make it brittle and kind of stick together. And then you're going to put the grease on it, and then you're going to tug at it to try and tame it, which of course it's not going to go straight because it's a very curly thing. The way, for me, the way to educate the mother and the child at the same time is for them to have scheduled time together with which they do their hair. So it cannot be, okay, I've got an hour, I've got half an hour, sit still, stop fidgeting. It has got to be, okay, come, let's sit in the shower. Whether you're in your swimming costumes or whether you're, your child is in the shower and, like traditionally, like the mother is kneeling beside the shower and the child's in the shower or whatever. You let the water run on the child's hair and the two of you stroke through it. I almost guarantee you every child would practically fall asleep. If you were doing their hair, even an adult actually now, when I'm in the salon, in a studio, if I'm doing someone's hair, I just look at them in the mirror and I don't say anything and I can see them physically relaxing. To have someone stroke through your hair is so
therapeutic.
It's totally therapeutic. Now, if your child is thinking to themselves, okay, mum doesn't have a lot of time, this is going to hurt, they are going to tense up almost instantly. So I got one person in the group who was saying, how do you deal with a child screaming the moment you look at them with a comb? Put the comb away. Just put the comb down, put the brush down, sit down there, the two of you together, just run your fingers through their hair. Mum could say, here, feel my hair. And and then you say to the child, hey, what's your hair type like? What does it feel like? Wow, isn't that different? Like, highlight the differences rather than try to say one is better than the other. And when it comes to washing the hair or wetting the hair, it actually, water on Afro hair is magnificent. Afro of any type or texture, any curl pattern. It is good to have your hair wet and to have you running your fingers through the hair. It's therapeutic, it's calming and relaxing, and it thoroughly detangles the hair. Unravels the hair. I don't like using the word detangles because to say detangle implies that it's a tangle in the first place. And that's not true. It's just curly, it's coils, it's twists. So you unravel it. And if you take your time, mother and child, it is one, bonding, and two, like I was saying earlier, even on my hair being completely dry, I can still part it with a comb. I have no resistance. No resistance. So if it's a case of the mum saying, okay, well, look, I need to tidy this. I need to have it in cornrow or braids for school. That's fine. The way you pull your fingers through the hair, gently pulling the fingers through the hair and stopping, just unraveling wherever it gets stuck, that is actually more effective as prepping the hair for combing than sitting there with a comb and trying to do it. So basically, stop using the comb. Stop using the comb, stop using the brush. You relax your child and you relax yourself, but you have to give yourself time. Time is important. Yeah, we are worth it. Time is important.
In everything that you're alluding to, the hair can be trained. It's not just a sense of taming your hair. You continue with a particular routine, the hair will become trained and it will fall into place because of this routine, because of the training.
Yes.
So that's really what it is. It's just a routine. It's a training. I like to use this phrase of mine, and I didn't realize we can apply it to hair care, but I like to use this phrase, every day is a training day.
Ah, lovely.
And that's what we're doing.
And it's true.
Every day is a training day because we're doing something different. And sometimes we have to go redo it, as I stated. We have to change something. We might have to start all over again. We may have to add a thing. So yeah, it's all in training. And it is a family affair if mom and dad are involved. And what I will say is everybody does not know how to take care or manage hair. So I've run into individuals who express that as well. They don't know what to do with hair. They don't even know how to manage or maintain their own hair. So how am I supposed to make my child's hair look better or good or presentable? It is a learning experience.
The question is are they willing to learn? Because you can just say, I don't know how, and leave it there. Or you could say, I don't know how, but it's important. I'm willing to learn.
Well,
that's all it is.
I mean, it does, but as again, you mentioned, you're going to have to try to carve out the time to do all of that. So there's going to take a little bit of effort on as the adult or the caregiver or just yourself, regardless to whether you're caring for a child or someone else. You do have to find the time to take care of these matters. It's important. It really and truly is. And you overall will feel better with the end result. You'll be confident, where you started at the beginning. You were just completely overwhelmed and you wanted to chop it all off, which I've seen people do just to avoid dealing with it. Or you're just going to put wigs and I don't have a problem with any of those things. I don't have a problem with extensions or wigs, but even when you do that, the hair needs to be taken care of. You can't neglect your scalp, your hair. There's so much to it. So even if you do take that as a result, because I just don't know how to do my hair, it still needs to be taken care of. So
I think you use a really good word there, neglect. Remember I mentioned ever so slightly how the effects of slavery still exist. If you neglect yourself, you're saying something negative about yourself. If you're saying, I don't have the time, I can't be bothered, it's simpler to do this, I don't know what to do, you're saying something negative about yourself. And certainly in terms of children, they pick up on that. You know, whether you voice it or not, they look at what you're doing and they will create their own belief system from that. So as parents, as the leaders, I guess, of our generations and those who are coming up behind us are watching us, we have a huge responsibility. You know, if we choose to wear wigs and extensions, etc., and so forth, like you, I don't mind it. I think it's a great hairstyle, but make sure you're aware of that distinction. It is a hairstyle. They need to know that you're doing this not as a way of avoiding your own identity or your own hair, but because, you know, maybe like when I was younger, I'd put my hair in extensions to go to work, and that would save me a huge amount of time. When my kids were little, it was a great way of managing that, because I worked in an office once upon a time, and it was a great way of managing the time. And I'd give myself the weekend. It wouldn't necessarily take the weekend, but I'd give myself that time so I didn't feel rushed. And my hair would last me maybe 6 weeks, maybe a little longer. But when my kids saw me take my hair out, they also saw the amount of time I gave myself, that I would get all the things around me that I liked. You know, if I was doing my hair, then I had the right to the TV and I'd watch whatever I like. And that's something my kids have even to this day. Mum, can you do my hair? Yes. Okay. Well, this is going to be my hair movie, you know? So we have, we put the things around us. We'll stop for a lunch break. We'd go get our snacks or whatever. And then we'd get back on with it. But we would take the time, and they could see that my hair was cared for. You know, even if it was a case of me just saying, right, I'm taking my hair out, I'm going to go to the hairdressers or whoever I trusted with my hair. But they would learn from that there was time for me, and that was important. So I hear what you're saying about that people having to carve out time. Everything is a learning curve. And if you're important enough, if you feel that you are important enough and you understand what you're saying to those who are watching you, you know, it's got nothing to do with what you say is my new motto. It's got nothing to do with what you say with children. It's what they see you do. They learn by watching. We all mirror other people. So if you understand your responsibility, then you need to change the way you do things.
You know, and normally, at the end of our discussion, I ask the interviewee if they have advice or a word to leave with the listeners. And unfortunately, the entire interview has been that. So you've left us with so much, but again, this is clearly about you. And you made me laugh when you mentioned about the hair care routine and the time that you scheduled out with your daughters. With my girls when they were younger, and I truly believe this. I don't have all day to be dealing with you and your hair. That's the first thing. And when my girls were little and they got to the point where they started walking, and I did have to actually start styling and caring and combing for their hair, I did things like this. I bought them special chairs. So when they were little, they had these cute little chairs that they would sit in. And 90% of it was to distract them from what I was doing. Because children don't like the one client that you said, how do I keep my kid from losing it when I bring out the comb? Well, you have to distract a child. So our routine was, they picked either the TV show that they wanted to watch. Now, mind you, we probably watched Mulan and
you know, it
we watched them a million times. But see, this was their time, but it was also my time to be able to get what I needed to get done with this child so that I can move in. I had 3 girls. I can't fight with every single one of them, nor am I going to allow them to control me. So each of them had their own little chair. We washed our hair. They sat in the chair. We would sit in front of the television. They got to pick the movie or we sat in their special chair. They had a snack or they had a game, a coloring book.
Yeah.
All of it was intended to distract from the goal. The goal was for me to get their hair done.
All right.
And it worked for me. So I did not have the experience with my girls that I couldn't get through a hair combing session, because they were falling out. They were screaming and hollering. I didn't have time for that. And it starts young. You have to train the child just like we're training the hair. Now, my youngest daughter was a different story. Her hair was so thick. She had the thickest hair. When it came time to wash, she would scream bloody murder. She hated getting her hair done. But even with her, after a while, with me putting the stern voice on, it was a matter of, here, Brooklyn, look at your book. And I had to find different ways to make her comfortable. So we would either wash her hair in the tub and she'd sit and have her head tilted back. That was not the best thing to do because water running in your face is frightening. So
it's a little uncomfortable.
It is. And then holding your head over the sink, she wasn't tall enough to do that. So I would lay her on the sink and I used the little spray thing at the sink. So that transition and training, it got better as she got older. So every child is different, but as the parent,
agreed.
You have to maintain control. You have to also teach the child that we can't do this all day. And in order for you to go do whatever it is you want to do at the end, you need to allow me to get this accomplished. And everybody's happy. Yeah. The longer you fight, we can't get it done.
Yeah, and the sorer your head will get if you keep turning and twisting.
I'm telling you.
Oh, yes. Yes. Those are good memories.
Now, clearly, if I had boys, we could have probably just cut the hair off. So there was no need to go through that struggle. So, but hey, it was a learning experience for me that, there are some things you just can't run away from. There are some things you can't avoid. And it teaches you patience. It teaches the child patience. It lets them know you can sit still.
I agree. I agree.
And that's what we learn as a family and as a whole. And they get used to the routine. No, they may not like it, but I know that this, and this is going to happen. So, you're finished braiding my hair and I'm so pretty. And yes, you are so pretty and you are such a good girl by doing this. Now go play and please don't mess it up.
Yes. Yes.
But
see, the thing about it all is that everyone has to find their own route. In almost all the hair people on Instagram, etc., all they can tell you is how they do it. Same with me. I can tell you how I do it, and I can give you the encouragement to keep going, just like you had to do with your girls. You couldn't just stop halfway and let them go. You had to keep going, and you had to do that for yourself as well. But everyone finds their own way. The one thing that they do know is that 1, it's possible, and 2, it doesn't have to be exactly like this. So how would I like to do it?
I agree. If nothing else, Miss Angela, again, I'm so grateful to you for coming on today and sharing your expertise, your experience, your journey with yourself, your daughters, and even with your clients. I know and I believe in everything that you're doing. And I want to continue to encourage you to keep this information going. Not only are you providing a service for us to help us maintain our hair, learning our hair and taking care of our hair, you're also healing the soul. You're also helping heal us and helping us find pride in ourselves and our individuality and not fearing or loathing what we have naturally. So it's also, that's what a coach does. A coach facilitates so much. They can teach you the fundamentals of a particular skill or an ability, or they can pick out an area in someone and be able to teach that person on how to get into the right track until they are confident that they don't need the direction of the coach as much. And that is what a coach facilitates. And I'm so glad that you chose that title, because what you're doing is actually coaching and it's needed. I'm going to allow you to let us know where all we can find you, how we can keep in touch with you. But I do want to say this before we go. There is a lot of pain. There's a lot of shame and a lot of hurt within the Black community and a lot of struggle that we deal with just because of our hair. And what I want to be able to do with our discussion today is hopefully something that has been said, whether it be by myself or through Miss Angela's efforts, is that you have nothing to be ashamed of. You have nothing to be unhappy with about who you are or how the hair grows from the roots and through your scalp. What you have to do is appreciate you. Find a way to change your mind about how you feel and what it is you want. Not compare yourself to whatever society says is acceptable. We've got to heal within, and we've got to start within, and we've got to ask ourselves, what is it truly that I dislike about myself, my hair? And then we work from there and seek out resources, individuals who aren't there to harm you, who really and truly are allies. Someone who can point out something in you that you trust to help you realize that you're overlooking so that you can compound on. We all need affirmation. Everybody is not going to be that affirmation for us. And sometimes that's just going to take us looking and digging and researching for ourselves to find out our self-worth. But it begins within ourselves. It begins with us being honest. But don't allow someone else to dictate to you what makes you acceptable, what makes you beautiful, what makes you intelligent, what makes you welcome. If you don't feel that way about yourself, when you leave outside of your circle, your comfort zone, nothing else should dictate that to you. It starts with you and it should end with you. And if nothing else, that is what I want to leave with you all today. Although we were discussing hair, it's so much more than that. And I hope that we were able to convey that. And I'm going to stop and allow you, Miss Angela, to please share with us where we can find you, keep in touch, and learn more.
Thank you so much, Jameelah. That was amazing. That encapsulated it all just perfectly. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so where you can find me, I'm on YouTube. Look for Angela's Afro Hair. My email is afrohairworkshops@gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram as Afro Hair Coach. And lastly, where I would love to see you all at some point is my Facebook group, which is the Afro Hair and Curly Hair Group. It's a very long name. My daughters usually tell me off for it. So that's the Afro Hair and Curly Hair Group. Thank you.
It has truly been a pleasure having you here on the podcast today. I'm thoroughly filled with a lot of information, and just I wish your group and all of your efforts continued success. Please don't stop. There are so many people who do need it, and you just have so much. You are facilitating more than just the surface, and you're reaching the soul. You're reaching an area, the root cause, the foundation. And I think facilitating and fulfilling the whole is where we are going to be able to find our self-worth, our belonging, our pride. And we won't care about what anyone else has to say or what they think about us, because we're enough. We're pleased.
We're enough.
We're pleased.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much,
you.
and continued success. And you know what? You are always welcome back. I love your family, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
All of you, any of you are welcome back. And thank you so much again for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today and share the gems that you have. And stay safe.
Thank you.
And
my pleasure.
Anytime. We've come to the close of another episode of the End User Talk podcast. I hope that what you've heard today will leave you feeling empowered. Thank you for listening. And remember, every day's a training day.